Today is 2nd of June. Market opened with a gap and was largely listless throughout the day with a slight bias toward the downside, down 17 points at 3226. Over the last few sessions, market have been trading with small body. This is a sign of uncertainty. So the odds of further downward move is high. After this severe sell down, markets actually has been consolidating with a couple of swing. So market remain choppy. So we got to be very selective with the stocks we trade and take smaller positions. It will be better to wait for the market directions to be clear. Let's take a look at the US market. This is S&P 500 tradings in the bearish channels. It's pretty obvious on the upward move. If you notice, the bars are generally smaller. On the downward move itself, the bar actually are much bigger. So the volatility has increased. This is the 40 weeks simple moving average. It's trading below that, and this is actually negatives. And right now we are just experiencing an oversold rally. The 40 weeks is an overhead resistance. The first resistance will be at this level here at about 4200. Now we see similar patterns with Nasdaq. Perhaps it's also weaker. Very obvious bearish channel. Again, a distance away from the 40-week simple moving average, and it's also pretty obvious that the 40-week has turned down. So this is a negative development. So right now we are experiencing a oversold rally or a throwback, and during these throwbacks, actually it's not advisable to actually go long in a big way unless the stock is extremely strong. Otherwise, it's good to take the opportunity to identify setup to short. Now we'll be discussing golden energy for quite some time. This stock has weakened somewhat, losing its momentums. It's pretty obvious. You can see that conversion of the two SMA, and the last three sessions here are bear bar. So basically it's actually trading sideways. If you can hold above 26, there will be positives, but you can see generally it's actually stock actually has a bit of retracement even though it trend up. So if this is a consolidation patterns, we like to see a dry up in the volume, and that will be positive. They eventually look for a break above this recent high here of 815. But we have to be mindful because the counterparts, which is Geo Energy, doesn't seem to be strong at all. If you notice, it has been trending downwards. So this is something we got to take note of. Now today's strong move comes from Yangtze, which we discussed in the last few videos. So this is what happens here after this dividend gaps. If you put back the dividends, technically actually today break this contraction setup here. It is actually a new high. Now volume increased slightly. Now if you have missed this breakout, look for pullback and look for a new setup to go long. Likewise for Yangtze financial holding. Now this is a positive development over here. We have a gap up and there was a sideways move. This is a contractions pattern, and they actually broke with a gap again with increased volume, and today managed to make another high. Again, you can look for pullback, look for setup. Just be very mindful, all this gap here are overhead resistance. So very obvious. We have one here which is just at about low of this bar, which is at 545, and obviously at this opening price, which is at 62 cents. So the stocks we just have to be more careful compared to Yangtze. Hong Fok, after the severe downward move, managed to actually raise up above the 1326 SMA. Notice over here your trust patterns. Yesterday we have a breakup but didn't close that well, and this is also approaching this gap. And right now we pull back a very low volume. Again, we just have to look out to see whether you can clear this high volume area here, and obviously there's one which is right here, and this happens to be the closing price of this bar, which is at 106. Jardine CNC consolidating with very nice pattern. So you can see that the swing are getting smaller. So this is nice. It's like a coiled spring looking for a break on the upside. Fraser Hospitality Trust, this is unusual because most of the retail perform that well. And after this wide range bar, it trades a series of sideways bars, so with low volume. Look for a decisive break or increased volume above 665. Keppel Corp, again, is consolidating. So again, we have to patiently wait for it to finish. The first attempt, I'd like to see it take out this high here of 689, and obviously we have the intraday high here of $7 to consider, to contend with. This is Sembcorp Marine. We have a very nice run, and obviously we are experiencing pullback. It would be good if we can consolidate just below this level here and eventually take out this recent high here of 12 cents. Now Sembcorp Industries are right now in a inflection point. If you notice actually over here it moved down, and if you take a look at the bear bar itself, obviously it's much bigger and also the high volume, and now we have a bounce. At this point in time, the moving average though in order, but the 13 is actually not falling, so we don't have very clear direction of downtrend. So we just have to patiently watch this level here, which is this pivot low, and this pivot low is crucial if we can support. Otherwise it may actually move down. This is at 278. So we just have to actually take a look at this. Now if you were to look at the bigger pictures on the weekly charts, so if you notice actually over here, this is the high that was actually taken up momentarily and it failed. And on the weekly bar itself, you can see this wide range reversal bars followed by a series of sideways bar with lower volume, and this is generally a bearish sign. Even though 1326 rising, but this is generally negatives. If you were to actually plot the multiple moving averages, it is actually hovering at a still rising 50 days moving average. But of course the crossing of this, which is 20 days, that will be negative. And of course the hundreds will provide some kind of support even though it moved down.